Douglas Murray recently spoke at the ARC conference and gave his analysis of how we can move our society from an era of what he calls deconstruction to an era of reconstruction. The West is falling. We've ended up with this woke mind virus spreading the idea that we are bad people, we are a bad country, and it is destroying us. And here we've got a couple of ideas that he thinks we need to learn from other countries in order to get back on our feet and go from declining to thriving. Take a listen.
I just wanted to mention briefly the two things I think that can be looked at. The first is, of course, innovation. Again, for those of us in Europe and in Britain, there's an enormous amount to learn, rather than to scorn the American experience. There are reasons why so many of the unicorn startups are from America, why disproportionately they're still from America. There must be something that they're doing right. In this country, we still have a situation where 1 in 5 of the working age population simply do not work, and we, the rest of the taxpayers, subsidize those people not to work. And this seems to me to be a great national scandal, but still something which our governments don't care to address.
That really does just nail an important key difference between the culture of the US and the culture of the UK. Anyone who's spent some time in America, you will see that what we call the American dream is very much still alive in people's mindsets. People aspire to work hard and to, pay for themselves in their lives, to be entrepreneurial and to make something of themselves. People see themselves as responsible to earn their own money and take care of themselves. You don't have the same welfare safety net that we do in the UK. Now, I do think it's good that we have some sort of safety net in the UK, but it's very difficult, the way the system is set up, to get the people off those benefits once they are on them. People end up just stuck in an endless cycle. And at the same time, the people who do take risks and earn money, they're not rewarded for taking that risk. People don't go, oh wow, amazing guy, look at that businessman, he risked everything, he risked losing millions in order to take his business to the next level, he deserves the money that he has earned. No, we don't look at it like that. We think, those rich, horrible millionaire elites, we need to tax them to death. How dare they have more money than me? Like, we don't see society as a meritocracy. We see that the people who have taken risks and put in the hard work and been successful, that they owe all of their riches to poorer people. And it's just a very, very big difference. And I think if we don't change this, mentality that we've fallen into in the UK, we will not be a thriving entrepreneurial economy like the US.
To my mind, one of the great explanations for this disparity in innovation between Europe and America is a very simple question. It's our attitude towards risk. The idea in America remains that life is indeed risky, that success is risky. And in much of the rest of the West, we've fallen into a kind of complacency, which is a sort of welfarism. When I returned to the UK recently, I discovered that the great debate in the UK was about how to kill the elderly more efficiently. And I was struck that the only argument that any Labour minister could make against euthanasia coming online with the NHS was that she didn't think that the NHS was capable of performing euthanasia efficiently. I mentioned in The Spectator at the time that this was, I think, wrong in one important degree. The NHS is a world leader in killing the elderly. It's just that they only kill the people who don't want to die.
Very sad reality.
The NHS, to which endless governments in this country pour money, is always told to us to be the envy of the world, and yet, of course, none of us can find a GP appointment.
It's a mess.
But I wanted to mention one other main thing, and to do so, I just want to reflect on something that's been much on my mind in the last couple of years.
This is another really important point about the psyche of this country. I spent most of the last couple of years in Ukraine and much lengthier time in the Middle East covering the wars there. And when I returned to the UK in December, I bumped into a politician friend from Westminster
and I was extolling the virtues of the IDF, with whom I've been embedded for much of the last year in Gaza and Lebanon and elsewhere. And she said to me, isn't it remarkable that extraordinary events throw up these extraordinary people? I was singing the praises of the amazing young men and women of the IDF as they battle the death cults of Hamas and Hezbollah. And this politician said to me, it is amazing, isn't it, Douglas, that this young generation has stepped up to the challenge, has answered that question of whether or not their generation is fit for the civilizational challenge. And she said, it's extraordinary the way in which events throw up people. And I said to her, there's a tweak we need to do to that analysis, which is it's not just extraordinary events that throw up extraordinary people. It's extraordinary events when they come up against people who have been extraordinarily well cultured. And what I mean by that is that it's not enough that a civilization or a generation comes across a defining moment. It is that when that happens, you know what you're fighting for. It is that you know you're fighting for your faith, for your family, for your people, for your tradition, for your way of life, and very much more. Clever people can sometimes say very stupid things, and in a recent interview, Yuval Noah Harari, who wrote *Sapiens*, was asked if there was any book that he would recommend that people could read in the present to understand the future that's coming, and he said no, he couldn't think of such a book because change was going to be so incredibly fast. And I said a couple of days later at an event in Jerusalem, that's flat out wrong. Change has always happened. And if you want a book to guide you, how about having the book that guided your forebears? Now,
really, really crucial point there, that if Britain were to all of a sudden face an existential threat and we say, right, guys, you need to fight for this country, you need to all pull it together, would we really pull it together? It might give some people, suddenly they might have a burst of patriotism, but let's be honest, we have raised a young generation that hates this country. We've just had some horrifying stats out that suggest that, seemingly around half of young people think that Britain is a racist country. They don't want to fight for this country. They don't care about this country. Whereas you go to somewhere like Israel, and these young people, they are quite happy to put their own lives on the line to destroy Hamas and to fight for their country because they are so proud of their country. They're proud of their culture. They're proud of their identity. They don't hate their own country. Okay, it's not the case that any country, people have also applauded the way that the Ukrainians, when the war broke out there, the way that they all came together and put in all their effort to fight for their country. They are patriotic. They love their country. They're proud of their country. They adore their country and their culture. The same is just not true in Britain anymore. And I am terrified that if we were to end up thrown into war, we would get eaten alive. Because even if we were to bring in conscription and force people to fight, which I doubt would happen, that would be a highly unpopular policy. Even if we did that, the morale in the army, it wouldn't be there. It wouldn't be there. They would not be willing to die to save their country. Why would you die for something that you're not proud of and you don't want to nurture and save, no matter what it takes? It's a horrifying state of affairs, and we need to do something about this. I could see there that Douglas Murray, he was getting, pretty emotional, and you could see that he is very, very nervous about the way that this country is heading. He wrote the book, The War on the West, which absolutely take a look at if you haven't already, which just explains, how, infiltrated our societies have become with this mind virus that forces us to hate our own societies and hate our own countries. It's going to be the end of us. We just need one war, and nobody will fight and nobody will stand up for us, and then that will be it. We're toast. we're toast. This has to change. We have to bring patriotism back. Sadly, we're living in an era where patriotism is associated with racism. Loving your country is seen as something that's wrong. The vast majority of other countries, loving your country is completely normal, but in a few Western countries, we've created this twisted idea that you have to hate your own country. To have any pride is completely wrong and completely racist. It's messed up. But anyway, that was Douglas Murray's part of his speech at ARC. You can see the rest of it on the ARC YouTube channel. The rest of it is also absolutely fantastic, so definitely do take a listen. Thanks for watching.